your opinion, what are the first steps in overcoming the obstacles that still lay in front of us?
I think the first step is to pay attention to them and acknowledge them, right? You know, when you don't, if you can't name a problem, if you can't talk about it, if you can't acknowledge that it exists, then it becomes difficult to do something about it. If we disaggregate, I mean, I'm sitting here with a sociologist. If we are not willing to look at a problem, we can't solve it. So the first thing I would say is let's collectively look at it, name it for what it is, and then we can problem solve. You know, there is an impulse, and I think we experienced this impulse at the time of President Obama's election.
Yes.
The impulse was to say, great, we're done now, right? You know, we're in this post-racial society, we don't have to talk about these issues anymore, everything's been fixed. Well, of course we now understand that that was not the case, and that whatever we thought was fixed, we have experienced some regression. Dr. King, in his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? It's a short book, published in 1968, but I think it's a really great book to read at this moment, because I think at this moment we are facing a choice between chaos or community. And that's what Dr. King was writing about. And he said, you know, after every period of social progress, particularly in the area of race relations, after every period of social progress, he says in that book, there is a period of pushback, sort of a desire to push back to the status quo. And I think we can see that pattern operating right now, a period of social progress followed by a period of pushback against that progress. And at the end of the day, he says, you know, you can change laws, and when he was writing in the book was published in 68. The Voting Rights Act had passed in 1965. You know, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was what made it possible to, you know, desegregate lunch counters and hotels and all of that. So those were relatively recent law changes, legal changes, but at the same time, he was experiencing in 68 this pushback against those changes. Well, fast forward 50 years, we can point to lots of things that have changed for the good, but we can also see the pushback against those things, even attacks on voting rights. And one of the things he says that we need to go forward is to really listen to one another, and to create greater empathy for those who are disenfranchised or disadvantaged by systems of racism. And that, I think, is really critical.